everybody. Welcome to inPsight Radio. I'm Danielle Egnew, and you are a fly on the wall to everywhere. Today, we get to talk about the ever-present question: what is the purpose of human beings on the earth? What is the purpose of the earth? And why does the earth play a role in so many intergalactic cultures? I mean, honestly, this show could not get any more cool if I just sat in an igloo with the air conditioner on. I mean, this is just such an incredible show, and I'm so excited to bring this information forward. So, what is the meaning of life? Why are we here? I mean, literally, when we look at the state the world is in right now, we are in a space, gang. We're in a space that the world has never, ever been in. Ever. Never. And people like to say, well, how can you say that, Danielle? Because everything is cyclical. Everything has a cycle. Everything's been done before. That's actually not really true, gang. I mean, yes, the earth has cycles. It's a little bit control freaky, really arrogant of the human race for us to think that every single thing that's ever happened has happened before and it's going to happen again. Well, we repeat a lot of things that have happened before, that's for sure. Yet every single thing hasn't happened. And why is this important right now? Well, when we look at where the earth is, especially with respect to the human species, we see a time frame, gang, that has never existed on Earth before. And let me tell you why. The Earth has never supported 8 billion people before. And not to go all Carl Sagan, billions and billions, but really, the Earth has never had 8 billion people on it, ever. I mean, flat out ever. Even during the time frames when human beings were on the earth 150,000 years ago and we were wiped out by all of the natural advances of nature that were taking place back then with big old volcanoes and huge ice ages. And even though our planet is cyclical, where we are at in this time frame in humanity has never occurred on the earth before. We have 8 billion people. We have social media. Within a majority of those, well, I won't even say a majority, within a great amount of those 8 billion people, we have internet access. So we as a species, gang, we are in a unique position at this point in time because never before could a person in Africa post a meme or a thought and within an hour have it travel all over the world to millions of people going viral. And there are a few aficionados out there who study Atlantis and Lemuria who will argue this point with me and say, well, no, in the Atlantean time frame, especially those that believe that Atlantis was more of a Middle Earth society, they'll say we were a telepathic species back then. So of course we were thinking and sending messages on this telepathic level. Of course we were. Well, we were. But there was not 8 billion of us, especially during the times of Atlantis. There was maybe several thousand OffWorlders on those craft, but we were not talking about 8 billion people. And we weren't talking about being able to spread a message with the click of a cell phone or the click of a mouse. So we are in a unique place as the human species right now. Can you imagine the conquering power that the Roman Empire would have had if they would have had Twitter or Facebook or Instagram? I mean, can you imagine one of the Caesars standing in front, taking a selfie in front of some sacked city? Well, we took Corinth down today. You know, another day in the life of a Caesar. LOL. WTF. I mean, honestly, the big players historically did not have the availability to spread messages around the planet like we do. So I'm wanting to preface our show today, which is all about what is the purpose of the earth and why are people on the planet. I want to preface our show today with this information because we tend to be dismissive of who the human race is and why we're here, and we tend to be very down on ourselves as a species. You know, it's like this weird self-fulfilling prophecy of I'm going to hate myself to death because if I don't, then somebody else will hate me more and it will hurt. So I'll hate myself the most, and the devil I know is better than the devil I don't know, which, as we know, is not really true. So what is the purpose of the planet Earth? What is Earth? Well, I get an opportunity to speak to these angels all day long, coming and going. And I also get an opportunity to speak to interdimensional beings as well as OffWorlders, our elemental beings. And it has been a incredible, if I were to speak the English language properly, an incredible educational experience. Because what I've had the opportunity to witness is that we're going to have a little science and a little spirituality and a little metaphysicality today on the show. What I've had the opportunity to look at is that because of where the Earth is placed next to a very large hydrogen ball in space, because of the fact that the Earth is in a chain with 8 other planets in the solar system, and all of those planets, including the sun, pull on the Earth in a particular way. And because the Earth is a giant spinning electromagnet, and because the Earth is a giant spinning electromagnet pulled on in a specific way in its individualized solar system, and it's also covered in salt water, which is one of the most conductive, if not the most conductive substance on the planet of Earth, saline, salt water, conducts electricity like no other. Because the Earth is the perfect storm of not hundreds, not thousands, but millions of vortex points all over our planet. In ley lines, on ley lines, in between ley lines, tons of these vortex points are out in the middle of our oceans. Because the Earth is this perfect storm of interdimensional doorways, the Earth recycles a ton of energy. The Earth is pulling in energy from not 1, not 2, not 3. We're talking dozens, hundreds of multiverses. Our planet works like a Hoover vacuum and sucks in tremendous amounts of energies from all over the dimension sphere. And once it hits our planet, it just sits here. That's correct. The Earth picks up and siphons and translates energies from multiple dimensions, multiple realms, and all of that energy hits this planet. Well, have you ever wondered why the life on Earth has evolved the way it has? Really, for all intents and purposes, humans are an empathic species. We evolved to be in perfect harmony with Mother Earth. I mean, we are talking perfect harmony. And we evolved to be really telepathically connected to one another at all times. And not only one another, but to the trees, to the wind, to the water, to the rocks, to the animals. The Earth speaks to us in a resonation known as the Schumann resonance. That's 7.83 hertz. It's the heartbeat of the planet. You guys hear me talk about this all the time on the show, okay? So we've got this planet that is a huge siphon for multidimensional energy, pulling in energies from multiverses all over the place by the sheer nature of A, what the planet is, B, what the planet is covered in, C, where the planet is located in the middle of the universe, and D, how the planet is orchestrated with ley lines. So literally, we are a Hoover vacuum for energies in multiple quadrants of the universe. This is really what's going on here. And you wonder how humans can even function down here when we're sucking in all of this chaos. Well, let's go back to the fact that humans are an empathic species. We are an empathic species. So when we are heavy in empathy and we are being able to feel one another, what are we doing when we are sharing emotionality? We're splitting the burden of processing. So I want you to just go ahead and sit back as you listen to the rest of this show today and just let your mind open up massively, because what we've got here are some really heavy-duty messages on what the meaning of life is, of why human beings are on the planet, of why off-worlders have come and gene spliced with us and what's going on here, okay? When you have all of this energy that floods in from multiple dimensions, energy cannot be destroyed. It simply has to be transferred, right? So you've got all this energy coming in, dark energy from a chaotic multiverse. You've got happy energy coming from a high frequency multiverse. All of this is hitting the planet Earth. Well, what populates Earth at this time frame? 8 billion human beings, in addition to multiple plants and animals. Now, we are going to take the plants and animals off of the table for this discussion because it should go without saying that the plants and the animal life that has evolved with the planet are in absolute perfect synchronicity with needing to translate these energies and move these energies through Mother Earth. So the plants and the animals have it. Really, we the human beings are the ones who are all tied up in this giant conundrum about why we're here. What's it all about? What is the meaning of life? That's kind of our kink, people. So we're going to start there with people, okay? So we have 8 billion of us on this planet who are natural-born empaths, which is different than having the extra, if you will, spiritual or psychic ability of empathy, which is take that empath ability and then just exponentially make that heart chakra huge. So here we are, 8 billion of us hanging out. What do people do, gang? What do we do at the very base of who and what we are? What motivates us? Now, a lot of you may be thinking, well, fear of starvation, or fear of a loss of money, or maybe money motivates us. Actually, what motivates us is a need to connect, a need to be loved. Then we take that need and we smear it in icing over the top. And as we smear it in icing, that icing is called fear that we won't have these things. And yes, fear that we won't have these things is a highly hyphenated, humongous word. Okay? So we come down here and we fear we will not have connection. We fear this, we fear that. Yet at the base operating system of human beings is connection and love. And if you look at little 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds, when they're first able to walk, this is the best. You want to see the nature of the human species. Watch toddlers. They'll see each other in a room and they'll freak the frick out. They'll be like, oh, it's a little baby. I have a toy. Would you like my gummy bears? Would you like my toy? Can I give you a goo-goo kiss? I love that you're alive on the planet. Hi, 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 hi. And then somebody accidentally steps on somebody's toes and it's a big screaming fit. But then in 5 more seconds, they're hugging again and they're sharing toys. And then somebody accidentally takes a toy and there's crying. And then we forgot we're upset and we're hugging again. Humanity, our baseline is love and connection. And there have been multiple astute people over the eons that humanity has been around who have coined the phrase, humanity is at its best when things are at their worst. Think about that. Humanity is at its best when things are at their worst. Well, why is that? Why is that if truly we are a weak, fearful species that grubs and wars and hates? How can we possibly be at our best when things are at our worst? Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a human being or any hybrid version therein, living on the earth during this time frame, you, or really any time frame for that matter, you are at the 0.0001% heavy lifter soul in the universe. You might be a human soul. You might be a human Palladian soul. You might be an elemental soul. But if you are wearing a standard garden variety issue human suit down here, you are here to transcend energy. You are here to take pain and turn it into love. You are here to take ruination and turn it into beauty. You are here to repurpose ugliness into lessons Humanity. The earth is a giant energy recycling bin. And we who choose this experience are not only learning our own lessons, we're not only learning our own life path, our own range of emotion. In learning our own lessons, we are recycling energies that come from hundreds of multiverses that all come out through the earth. This is a true deal. Now, I'm just going to let your brain chew on that for a minute, because that's a lot to take in. The human ego wants to say, well, wait a minute. What do you mean I'm down here just translating a bunch of other universes' garbage? Am I a garbage man? Immediately the ego wants to go into the place of task. Like, how could I just come down here and take out the garbage? I'm so much more than that. Well, of course you are. You're the special forces of the spirit realm. Come on, people. Why do you think we come down here and literally, okay, we're going to back up. So you're a soul, wherever you're coming in from. Maybe it's the afterlife. Maybe it's heaven. Maybe it's the Pleiades. Maybe it's Sirius. Who knows where you're coming in from? We have a ton of human beings right now coming in to our planet at this time frame that are, quote, on the spectrum, end quote. We like to say, well, these folks have Asperger's, or this folk is different, and that folk is slightly, or autistic. They're on the spectrum. And we do know that because of some severely messed up nutritional issues, that we do see more people born on the spectrum or with autism. And it can be drawn back to nutritional deficiencies here and there. What we don't talk about is that a lot of these folks surfing into these bodies at this time frame are coming in from other realms. These are starseeds, okay? These are beings that don't have to go through feeling so much emotionality, feeling so much texture and messiness in order for them to contribute. Think about this just a minute. Folks surfing in on the spectrum, they really don't have a lot that they're off-gassing. They're uptaking huge amounts of energy, yet they're not off-gassing a ton of energy. They're not putting out there a bunch of crazy, upset, random, just chaotic explosions of emotionality. Now, of course, there are some folks who struggle with autism, who are very severe cases, they've got a lot of agitation going on. Yet if we look at a majority of people, especially in the millennial generation, that are surfing in right now, that are being labeled, and I'm not a fan of labels, yet for the sake of discussion, they're being labeled as on the spectrum. When I get an opportunity to visit with these amazing beings, a lot of them are starseeds. They haven't spent lifetime after lifetime in a human suit. They really don't understand that we've developed a world that is addicted to sensation. And they're sitting here going, what is the deal with all the textures and come on. Let's just keep it real, people. Let's strip it down. Let's keep it simple. Let's gun for the highest good. So when we look at the beings that are surfing into Earth, and we look at why they're here generationally, again, yes. We can argue all day long that there's foods out there that can add to a fetus being prone to being on the spectrum. That's absolutely true. It's been proven medically. We get that. Yet, to the amount that I'm seeing these millennials come in on the spectrum, I'm seeing a ton of starseeds. So why is that important right now? In what's the meaning of Earth? Well, we have 8 billion human beings. And the Earth, we're already over capacity in terms of food, water, basic stuff that you need to live. We're running out of some elbow room here. So we have these people coming in that aren't obsessed with stuff, but are really, really wanting to apply themselves to a higher good. Yet they don't really buy into all that consumerist stuff. It's really interesting when I've had an opportunity to speak to starseeds that have been labeled as human beings who are on the spectrum. And yes, of course, I'll say it again, I do believe that we can simply be born on the spectrum for all kinds of physical reasons. But I'm talking about the massive influx of starseeds that are coming in on the spectrum right now. When I have a chance to visit with them, they are as minimalist as you get. They could care less about having stuff. They just want to affect change. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And it's so much fun for me to talk with these folks because I just dial up to that high frequency that they're on. And we have all kinds of incredible conversations about higher ideologies. And where they have a harder time is applying the self in this weirdo three-dimensional world that we've created down here, which is just, don't even get me started on the matrix that we've created. So why is that important to who we are as a planet and where we are as a species? Because we are here at a breakneck pace as many multiverses are ascending, because we're not the only one, gang. It's not just all about us on Earth. I know I'd love to believe that too, but that's just not reality. So we've got this opportunity to look at how many multiverses are ascending, and all of those beings are also off-gassing information. They're off-gassing all kinds of processes. And so we've got 8 billion people down here who are natural empaths working through all of that energy and transcending it. And we are turning it into useful things. We're turning it into higher thought. We're turning it into connectivity. We're turning it into saving the planet. We're turning it into elevating us out of violence. Now, some folks are actually intaking a lot of this chaotic energy, and they are having an adverse effect. They are turning it into extreme violence and extreme anger and extreme victimization. Well, then what do we as a species do when we see the violence and the anger and the victimization? We go in and we turn that into reclamation, into love, into reparation. So sometimes this nasty energy hits our plane of existence and we just go ahead and use it for more nasty stuff. And then we go into our human recycling mode and we repurpose it into some kind of growth factor. Now, it's important to note that we're also on Earth receiving all kinds of high vibrations from all sorts of very high vibration societies out in the Pleiades, out in Sirius. I mean, clear out there, the planet that, Otur, folks like to call it, they like to call people from Otur, they like to call them Arcturian. They're actually Oturan. So that society is sending us good vibes all the time. And yes, of course, we as a species sometimes can just do some pretty crappy crap all on our own, where it's not like we're just soaking in everybody else's vibes and acting it out like a really, really bad Martha Graham dance, okay? I mean, we actually have our own lessons, our own trials, our own fears that we ourselves are working out and transcending those into love. So no matter where all of this heaviness can be coming from, whether it's coming from another dimension, whether we're authoring it ourselves, the human condition repurposes all kinds of everything into love, into connection. And I tell you, as my grandpa Louis used to say, we humans are phenomenal, as my grandpa used to say, at polishing a turd. We really are. I mean, we will take anything and make it beautiful. And pretty soon you forget that it was something yucky because now it's fertilizer for something that you're growing. I mean, and that's how we're made. That's how we're made. Like, it chokes me up to see the light in us. We are incredible beings of light. And so what is the Earth here for? Well, one of the many things it's here for, besides jump points in space between many universes and stargates, is that we recycle energy. And we also, gang, are putting energy out through all these same vortex portholes. We're putting energy back out into the multiverses that other civilizations are then recycling. You know, you'll notice in 2017, there was a big influx of rage and hatred all over the earth, especially in our Western cultures. Now, you're not really seeing that if you go into a deep Amazonian culture, but our Western cultures, where we were able to pass around ideologies on Facebook and on Twitter, we see that 2017 was full of anger and rage and hatred. It was also full of a lot of love. It was also full of a lot of growth. And now 2018 is full of a crop of people stepping up to say enough is enough. People are giving away their political affiliations. People who are running for office who never thought they would do that. Good Lord, I even ran for mayor of my hometown in Billings, Montana, which is rather epic when you consider that it's a highly red state categorically, even though my town is pretty purple. And my town is one of the most conservative towns in Montana. And so here's this lesbian psychic running for mayor who's a woman, and my town has not had a female mayor even try to run for office in 50 years almost. So, me stepping up was certainly not even about me winning as much as it was about breaking the glass ceiling and saying to everybody, come on, man, everybody can serve. So in my own way, I was recycling a lot of compressed energy in the ethers. Okay, are you following? So yes, we have our own life paths. Yes, we have our past lives. Yes, we have our own soul growth. Yet we are also working within a bigger framework of recycling energies and turning it into love, because that's what we as an empathic species do. And the purpose of us being here is phenomenal, because again, we're not just here for ourselves. I know that's really hard to believe. Yet, let's just think about this, gang. If you came down to the planet of Earth, okay, let's go back to heaven. We're all hanging out in the green room of heaven. We're all watching Seinfeld reruns in the green room, and we're just hanging out waiting for a body. And we get into a conversation. So, are you ready to go down on that planet that's going to be struggling for resources with 8 billion other people to do some heavy lifting for hundreds of multiverses while you work on your own lessons? And are you an ascended enough being to not get resentful about that after your 60-hour work week and no raise and no chance to go on a vacation? And we all laugh about that in the green room. No, I'm going down to Humanville where I'm distracted by pie and a really good binge-watching episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So no, of course we don't have those conversations once we get here. Those are conversations we have on the other side. Because once we get here, we get really caught up in our own stuff. We get really caught up in what Danielle Egnew's personal lessons are or what Joe Blow's personal lessons are. And you know why? There's a reason for it. Because we literally get our memories wiped, which I love this part. So get this. This is why people, souls, whatever you want to call it, who choose to come to Earth are the 0.0001% heavy lifters of the universes. And we love this, guys. We keep coming back and back. It's just like those people who do 52 million tours, which I think is hysterical, the 52 million tours that are really tough in the military. I think it's hysterical because I could never do that. And I have such respect for people whose calling is to put themselves in harm's way over and over and over and over again. It's not hysterical they're doing that. It's hysterical what a weenie I am and couldn't do that. Yet then I've got to remind myself, well, hold on now, girl. You're part of the 0.0001% heavy lifters that comes to the planet of Earth who recycles energies. So perhaps my way of recycling energy is not necessarily that of a soldier. Maybe I stand in the gap for love in my own way. So, of course, we don't come down here with the recognition that this is in part what we're doing because it would get really, really messy. And, I may not actually get an opportunity to be able to learn my own lessons because I am too busy with the focus on, oh my gosh, I'm part of 8 billion universal energy recyclers transcending pain, chaos, sorrow, a lack of triumph, a lack of hope, into love. Because I'm too busy focusing on that, so I'm not going to work on my own lessons. Fact of the matter is, working on my own lessons then transcends this energy. So it's what came first, the chicken or the egg. This is the dynamic, amazing system here on Earth, is that while we're working on our own lessons, we are helping multiverses across the board, and they are supplying us with love also. And there are other, if you want to call them Earths, there are other recycling centers all throughout the universe. We just happen to be one, and we happen to be one because here we are with all this proximity to the sun and with our other planets and in our solar system and where we're located to the center of the Milky Way galaxy, which creates vortex pulls because the center of the Milky Way is just one giant black hole. I mean, it's just a big, big system here that we're part of. So the meaning of life is to give. The meaning of life is to love. The meaning of life is that life does not end. The meaning of life is that where your fingertips stop, that's just the beginning of somebody else's fingertips. The meaning of life is that the dark matter that connects all of us is sharing all universal energy at all times. I mean, honestly, if you think about why our very, very advanced off-world cultures, like the folks from Sirius, they were the pyramid builders. The folks from Sirius were the builders. They came down and worked on aqueducts and a lot of the pyramids that we find under the ocean, hundreds of feet underwater, that were on this planet before so much of the ice cap melted. A lot of those giant structures were power generators. And those structures were placed here by our lovely folks from the Sirius AB star system. I'm reticent to call them Syrians because we have a country called Syria here on Earth. And let's hold all of Syria in our prayers because what a hot spot for so much pain and anguish to be transcended. And with that, we look at how much pain, say, is in Syria. And with the sarin gas attack, which I can't even hardly talk about without getting completely sick, I was standing in my kitchen the weekend that occurred. And I am not honestly sure if it was during the time that the gas was being deployed or it was during the time that the news was going around. Yet I felt the most ungodly wave of dizziness. And I'm prone to dizziness from geothermal expulsions. And really here in Billings, Montana, we don't live that far from Yellowstone Park. I mean, maybe 2.5 hours, 3 hours max if you're in the middle of the park. Really, we're very close to the park entrance. And so a lot of times we get hit with these geothermal waves coming off of Yellowstone. And it does just feel like a weird ripple that goes through you and you get a little dizzy for a second. This was just waves and waves and waves of dizziness. Like I couldn't get my grip. I couldn't get my center. And that's when I found out that all of this sarin gas had been released in Syria. And when we have these heinous atrocities that are unthinkable, and all of this ugliness happens, when we have that going on, there is such a struggle at that point for we human beings to even get our center. I mean, I knew people who were sick for that whole week when they read about or saw what happened in Syria. I knew people who were getting sick and they couldn't even tell me why they were getting sick. They were just getting sick and they had no idea that much pain and anguish had occurred. And then you factor in all the genocides that we don't hear about on the news. We are an interconnected species. And you don't have to be a psychic or a medium or an angelic channel or whatever to feel these atrocities because we are all Bluetoothed together by the nature of being in a human suit. Our DNA shares resonation back and forth with one another. It's really quite incredible. So when we look at what is the meaning of life, what is the meaning of being here, sharing is the meaning of being here, love is the meaning of being here, transcending energies is the meaning of being here. And we want to make it about a million other things, but the bottom line is we can make it about whatever we want. Yet we are here to experience our own lessons. We are also here to give back to the rest of the universe. So that is super duper important. When we look at our off-world, let's talk a little bit about the off-world influence on the human species, because this to me, think for 1 second about the influence of that Sirius AB culture. They're the builders. They're the architects. They're helping us out with aqueducts. I mean, they are working really, really hard to see if they can actually help us out and make our life a little bit easier so that if you think about it, our ability to process emotionally all of the energy that's coming through these multiverses, our ability to process within each other and transcend that pain energy into useful love and recycle it back out into the universe, they bring us tools. They bring us a frontal cortex. We have such a hard time finding the missing link. Well, why do we have that? We have a hard time finding the missing link because the bottom line is that we are not... The missing link isn't from here, people, okay? There were so many strands of hominins, and that's what we like to call human beings. There are so many strands of hominins that were all over the world, and there were some that were dominant and some that were submissive, and God, that sounds like a bad movie from the 80s, doesn't it? Starring Kevin Bacon. Anyway, the submissive hominin. We've got these strands of hominins that went dormant or extinct due to natural causes, due to a lack of intelligence when another hominin species came up that was smarter. And of course, we had the Neanderthals wandering all over the place. They were one strand of hominin. And then all of a sudden, these beings popped up primarily on the coasts, okay, who had this bulbous frontal cortex that turned right around and annihilated the Neanderthal population. And it's not like we see one or two, what we like to call Cro-Magnon man, one or two of these bulbous-headed people coming out of the Fertile Crescent and then over a period of 100,000 years spreading up all over the planet. We see thousands of these beings popping up on coastal regions. That's not exactly how evolution works. It's just not how evolution works. So our off-world cousins, and I call them our off-world cousins because we share genome with a lot of these off-world species, our off-world cousins realized what Earth is. They know we're a giant recycling center, and it's also an amazing planet, and that planet supports all kind of life. So before we go into a place of being martyred humanity, why do I have to do the heavy lifting? Blah. Remember, you chose to be here with flying colors, and this is what we choose to do as humans, just like people who enlist over and over again for different tours of duty in the Marines. I mean, it's your calling or it's not, being human. And some people do a little bit of time here. Some people do many, many lifetimes here. A lot of us are repeat offenders here on Earth because we understand the system and we understand what's needed of us to go ahead and make it happen. So that is pretty awesome. So we have our off-world cousins out there highly invested in helping us to make our lives easier so that as we work through our own emotional processes, transforming pain, rage, anger, hatred into love, that we don't have to work as hard really to survive. Because there is a lot of transcendence in survival, yet when you're working really hard day in and day out to simply survive, that survival instinct takes a big precedent. So look how many of us now, 8 billion of us are on this planet. And many of us who live in westernized regions and countries, we don't understand that we're in this sliver of extremely wealthy people. If you have $1 in your pocket, $1, you are more wealthy than most of the world. I mean, $1. And for we in America, that is almost incomprehensible. And we've got first world problems over here that are just unbelievable. And we in America are really doing our share of heavy lifting now, really transforming a lot of the hatred and rage and chaos energy into love. It's our turn. Guess who did that? Many, many years ago during World War II, Nazi Germany, all those people who died in those concentration camps, 6 million people, transforming suffering and anxiety into purpose and love to change the world. And no, I'm not making excuses for horrible things. And no, I'm not saying that human beings can't do yucky stuff all on our own. Of course we can, gang. Yet hear this. We are part of a bigger system, and the meaning of life is to love and to give back. And then we receive as others give. And then we give, and then we receive. And it's this amazing figure 8. And yes, of course, there is a natural course of evolution with microbes in the ocean and evolution that happens with all these sea-bearing creatures that crawled up onto the land. Yes, that is part of what we've gone through. Yes. However, we are here to transcend energy in our own lives, in our families' lives, in the multiverses. We are here to help energy transform. So we're going to loop around here to why is it then that we think we're just such a thick-headed, stupid species? Think about this. The reality of the human species is that inside of every cell, we have that DNA that I love to talk about. And that DNA is a resonation of God energy. It is the Mother, Father, God within. That DNA can't even touch the protein and the flesh of the cell wall, because if it does, it dies, because it's on such a different vibrational level. This is a true thing. So we've got these little wormholes to God or to creation energy or to miracle energy within every single cell of every single human being, all 8 billions of us. So that's like trillions and quadrillions and numbers I can't even get my brain around, a number of cells that are wormholes to incredible Mother, Father, God, or creation or universal miracle energy. Think about this. Never mind the cells of all the animals. Never mind the cells of all the plants who go through this same nuclear DNA type of issue. Think about how many tiny pinhole wormholes to Mother, Father, God energy exists on this planet. And you think about how human beings are attracted to love and light. Well, why? Because we are full of it. Yes, we are full of it, humanity. We are deeply full of it. But we are also full of love, and we are full of light. And it is an amazing experience. Deeply amazing experience. So why do we choose to come back? And why do we choose to keep thinking that we're just the thickest-headed group of beings in this corner of the galaxies? Because, gang, our effectiveness on this planet as a recycler just isn't as good as if we were deeply aware of our full capacity upon getting here. Part of our growth process transcends energies. Part of our pains transcends energies. Part of our lessonry transcends energies into love. So we've got to get our memory wiped and get dropped down into this total matrix of a maze, completely forget who we are as a 0.001% heavy spiritual lifter, oftentimes spending many lifetimes down here perfecting the transfiguration process of pain, hopelessness, anguish, and victimization into love, growth, sustainability, and absolute peace. If we recognized what we were when we got here, it wouldn't be as effective. Because we are not the planet of Otur yet. We are not a Palladian civilization yet. We are not a Sirius AB that has been around really as a sentient species. That sounds racist. As a sentient grouping of beings out there. We haven't been around for those millions of years that these other beings have. And really, there's a reason also why we as a species restart ourselves every 100 or 150,000 years or such. If we cannot keep up with the recycling needs of the planet, if we can't, or if we go out of balance with that as a life structure, the planet reclaims itself and the planet recycles those energies. The natural course of nature, of prey, of hunter, the natural course of evolution handles those recycling of energies. And the bottom line, gang, is that the earth would transcend these energies all by itself, even if we weren't here. We're just a crazy battery pack on the back of transcendence. Human beings are transfiguration junkies. And I know. Some of you may be thinking, now, how can this be possible? Because we have people coming in who are meth heads, who are homeless. We've got people coming in who are child porn ringleaders. We have people coming in that run human trafficking rings. Are you trying to tell me that those people choose all this? Are you trying to tell me that that's all about love? Because that's not about love. That's about ugliness. Hey, I'm not here to try to explain how the system stacks up. I'm just telling you that in the midst of all that heinousness, we have hope. We turn the victimization of human trafficking into the liberation and the growth and the education and the love of self-respect. We transfigure energies on Earth. I'm going to say it again. We are the 0.0001% heavy lifters of the galaxies. We are recycling junkies. If you are listening to this today and you have been in incredible pain and you feel like your pain is solely yours, that it is not shared by anyone, that nobody knows how badly you hurt, hear this. We are all connected. And even though you may just be listening to my voice right now thinking, well, Danielle, you can stick it where the sun don't shine, sister, because you're not living my life with my pain. I'm not trying to shine you on. I'm telling you that you aren't alone because we are all transfiguring your pain into love. And when you reach out to a loved one or a friend or somebody on Facebook and you say, oh, my day has been cruddy and I got fired and my spouse left me and my dog took off with my Bible and ate it and my car was stolen and I mean, whatever, right? And then you start picking a fiddle and you make it a country song. When life gets that heavy, what do? You generally, naturally, to some degree, reach out. And then it might get so heavy that you don't reach out. You might get so heavy that you implode on yourself for a while. And that implosion on the self, within the self, is absolutely necessary sometimes. Because in that implosion, we find fear as a teacher. And we actually have a conversation with ourselves about why we think something's impassable. Now, sometimes, especially in this day and age right now, people lose their battle with that discussion. People lose their battle with life. And we are seeing many, many millennial souls especially taking their own lives. And as tragic and hideous as that is for those of us remaining, especially if we've been touched by suicide. You know, my family's been touched by suicide a couple of times. When we experience that pain, it's important to remember that that soul also has a walk. And a lot of times when I look at souls who have taken their own lives, what I see are timelines that aren't incredibly long to begin with. These souls have shorter timelines. These might be some serious old souls that don't have to come down here for the whole 80, 90, 100-year tour of duty. They might only need to come down here for 18 years or 25 years or 35 years to be able to make their splash, their difference, their ring in the pond that's going to bring lessons to so many other people. And I'm not trying to make light of suicide, and I'm not trying to say, oh, it's okay that people kill themselves. Yay, killing yourself. That's not where I'm going with this. I'm saying that everybody here, whether exalted, whether someone living under a bridge, whether somebody who has access to Facebook, whether somebody who lives in the middle of a jungle in South America, every single soul wearing a human suit is transfiguring energy in some way. Earth is the giant recycling hub. So what do we do with this information? Well, it can help us when we're feeling like the world is coming down around us and there's nothing we can do about it. We can actually reach out and we can feel the power of support when we know that we are transcending not only our own emotions into usable, beautiful light, because again, energy is not destroyed, it is transferred. But it can help us when we're experiencing those blues, knowing that we are a biologically connected species. So here's kind of a cool fun fact. Have you ever been just hanging out, doing your thing, living life, and out of nowhere, you are just hit with an incredible wave of sorrow? You know, that sorrow may resort in you crying. That sorrow may resort in you being absolutely devastated. And you're having a perfectly good day. Nothing's wrong. Yet in your mind and in your spirit, you break and you just start sobbing. You know, I don't know if you've ever had that experience, but I sure have. And of course, we want to say, oh my gosh, it's hormones, or oh my Lord, it must be chemtrails, which we know do affect our moods. Yet, gang, what's happening is that we are an empathic species. And somewhere on our planet, someone is feeling so much pain and so much grief that they simply cannot hold it all. And that splashes out into the ethers, that splashes out into the dark matter, and it travels down to the first person who has a little more bandwidth that day, a little more processing headroom to just pick that up and transfigure that and release it into the ethers. And you know, as people, we want to be resentful about that sometimes. I got my own problems. Why do I have to worry about everybody else's problems? It's not about that. It's about being able to understand that we are interconnected, that we are here to learn our own lessons, yet we are here to love, that we are here to create and give, and we are here to receive, that we as a species are made of dozens of different kinds of genome, some off-world, some elemental, some just completely indigenous to this planet that have evolved over the millennia. We are a finely tuned machine full of pin wormholes that go to a complete plane of light and love in the nucleus of every cell that we have. I mean, think about this. So it's not to say that we can't have our own pain and our own suffering and our own path. And of course, yes, humanity, it is about you. You're pretty too, and you're on the radar. Yes, humans, we matter, okay? Yet, wow, our contributions. Wow. We should be proud of what we are. We are literally capable of transfiguration, which means we are miracle makers. We can change this matrix down here anytime we want. And that's what a lot of these star seeds are here to do in our millennial generations. You know, we indigos that came in the late 60s, early 70s, we were surfing in going, now, hold on. We got some work to do, people. I mean, everybody, every generation has been doing their part. And it's all about transfiguring hurt, pain, fear, and limitation into useful love, light, and peace vibration. That's what we do. That's the meaning of life. That's why we're here. That's the purpose of the planet Earth. That's the purpose. Isn't that cool? And so, yes, of course, you know, in our daily lives, we got to break it down and make it a lot more simple. We make it about coming home to our families. I love coming home to my family. That's my favorite. I come home and my wife and my daughter are here and our 3 doggies, Angelo and Ruben and Sebastian. Angelo's a mini American Eskimo. Ruben is a Pomeranian and so is Sebastian. And Sebastian had his little neuter surgery today, so he's a little bit limpy. So everybody send some really positive vibes to poor little Sebastian. He's working it out up there. Yet, when we come home to our families, we are gifted with the souls of people who help us support the transfiguration process. And sometimes we have family members that are really challenging. And in that, we work through transfiguration. So don't forget that in 2017, we're going to loop this right back around to 2017 in America, where we took our turn with the vibration of hatred and rage and entitlement and just righteous hatred, which doesn't even exist, whatever. However, we took our turn with it. And actually in 2017, we were in a completely different dimension. Because we took our turn with it, we pushed the dimension of love into some of those other multiverses where we do have dimensions of hatred and dimensions of rage and dimensions of pain. And I talk about this a lot, but the fact of the matter is there were people all over the United States, in addition to the world, after the 2017 election, and this has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat, who just felt ill. They felt sick. They felt like they had this weird flu for 2 or 3 months, which really is akin to dimensional sickness, which is what our astronauts get when they first come back to Earth after being up on the space station for many, many, many months. They come back and we try to clock our biological body here on Earth after being out of the Earth space-time continuum and floating above and being out of that biological component that Earth provides. When we come back down to this vibration, this space-time vibration of Earth, the biological body gets sick because it's too much to adjust to. In 2017, we pushed those ethers over into rage and fear and chaos. And we've been experimenting with that last year, and 2017 was a bit of a rough year for many people. And again, this is not a political issue, it's an energetic issue. Everybody does their time in this ether. Nazi Germany did their time with that ether. The European theater in World War II did their time with that ether. I mean, all of this was done in different time frames, shared by different people. You go back to the Crusades, all of those people being slaughtered in the name of, quote, Christianity, end quote. They did their time transfiguring that particular ether of fear, chaos, and rage. We all do our time. And in America, that's going to last approximately 18 months before we push. And we're right now in 2018. By the time we hit June, everybody, we've popped us back into the love ether, and we're almost there. You know, it reminds me of that scene in Finding Nemo with all the fish in the net, and they're all swimming away from the fishing boat, and they all put their energy together, and they end up snapping the net because they can all swim in the same direction. And it breaks the net free. And that's what we're doing for love. And again, this has nothing to do with identity politics or Donald Trump or any of it. I mean, that is one individual who's a catalyst. There are many other individuals across many party lines that are catalysts for change, gang. That's all we're doing, is we are transfiguring energy. And we're cleaning out the energy in the United States. That's the racism that's been hiding underneath the carpet, and the homophobia that's been tucked under the floorboards, and the religious superiority that's been quietly just sitting back, hiding behind the recliner chair. And we are seeing all of this come raging forward so we can really decide how to transfigure that energy. True deal. 2018 is the year of transformation. Now, with everything we've covered on today's show, about the purpose of the earth, about the meaning of life, about why we're here, about why we have off-worlder DNA within us, doesn't it make a little bit of sense as to why we've gone through what we've gone through in the world through different time frames? And doesn't it make just a little bit of sense as to what we're going through in this year of the year of transformation? Think about that. The year of transformation. We are transcenders. We are energy transmuters in the year of transformation, which means there's going to be a lot of Old West weirdness happening. And I apologize, I have not yet had an opportunity to process the live recording of my January forum at the beginning of January of 2018, where I talked about what we could look forward to in this year. And I need to get my poo in a group and get my team on that and get that finished up. Yet I will get it put out there. And during that forum, I talked a whole lot about the fact that this year, the first part of this year was going to look like a crazy poo show. It was going to be crazy with violence and shootings and with money tanking and money getting weird. And of course, we've seen Bitcoin and we've seen the stock market going all over the place. And we've yet to see what's going to happen with all this trade weirdness, but that's going to get crazy. So money's going to look like it's out of control. Our weather, which of course you don't need to be a psychic to know the weather's going to be nuts this year. But our weather has been so crazy. Here in Montana, Lord Almighty, it is April. It is April. And in April, we're going to break a snowfall record ever for our state in the city that I'm in, which is Billings. I mean, usually by now we've got flowers coming up, you're planting your garden. Mother Nature's a little peeved. And so we are really feeling the effects of a heightened global crisis in weather. And yes, it is cyclical. Yet, man, did we just punch that accelerator pedal, and we took that cycle and we just slammed it into fifth gear and got there a lot faster, which means that we're going to have that sci-fi weather, Yet what we're also going to see by the time, because we're transcenders, we are transmuters, it's the year of transformation, right? What we're going to see in the middle of 2018, come about June, is a big turnaround, where we're going to actually see, we've been seeing love win all over the place. And we're going to see people start to cross party lines for the good of all. We are going to see the giving away of the old world. And the angels say all the time, the old world falls away. They're obsessed with the fact that the old world falls away, which I think is kind of cool. So when we look at this and we look at the power that we have to really get involved with the transfiguration of our planet. And we see that, I hear this from these angels constantly this last week, the Great Mother has awakened. We see the Great Mother awakening in our earth, the feminine energies, the hashtag Me Too. We see the inner feminine in our divine masculine wandering about, and the balance that's achieved there. By the time we hit June on, we are going to be seeing the plot arc start to twist open, and we're going to be seeing differences in how love is represented. Because the Earth, the United States, cannot sustain continued chaos energy. And so what's happening? People are coming forward in their communities and saying, you know what? I really need to step outside of myself. We really need to come together and figure this out. And it's okay that you have a different opinion than I do. Yet let's come together in love and respect and transfigure this energy of conflict, because it's time. And we're going to be seeing some stuff this summer, gang, in the Midwest, lots of crazy, crazy sci-fi tornadoes and really weird out-of-season hurricanes and some seriously, seriously Old Testament floods. I mean, there's going to be big weather. And it is necessary for us to be able to transcend these circumstances into the highest good of all. So America, we have been, around 300 and some odd years and some change? We're doing our time transmuting the pain and victim energies in our way. And believe me, we're not doing it for the whole world. There's Syria over there who's doing it in leaps and bounds. There's the Middle East who is hugely transcending all sorts of energies, which ironically, the Middle East does correspond with a huge amount of massive vortex power centers out there. So those folks are at ground zero of a lot of universal energies hitting the earth. It's all fine and dandy to be an armchair quarterback and sit in a westernized nation and say, well, I can't believe those people are fighting so much for generations. And we can go ahead and, ma and pa kettle out over here. But we're not living in the same geographical region with the same types of really multidimensional pressures on us. And that's let alone the cultural pressures of just being a human being in an area that categorically has not had a lot of outside world influence for generation upon generation. This is the time frame of compassion. This is the time frame of feeling your feelings to the bottom part of your toenails. Cry it out. Hug a friend. Say your sorries. Go into deep accountability. Sit with your pain as a teacher. If you're feeling shame, let that shame go. Because it's time to give away shame. It's time to give away shame. Because we as a planet can no longer support that suppressive energy of shame. We can't. We're here to transfigure energy. And shame seeks only to suppress. It seeks only to suppress. Well, if your brain isn't blowing up by now, I applaud you, because that was a lot of information. And now anytime anybody says, what's the meaning of life? Well, now you can tell them, can't you? Look at you go. You're going to win Jeopardy. This is awesome. All right. Gang, I have had so much fun with you. Next show, we are going to be talking about giving away the old world modality of shame, what that energy signature has done to us, in America and beyond. And when we give away shame, what that's going to mean for the rest of the world. We're also going to be talking some numerology and number languages of not only the angelic realm, but our elemental realm. Our elemental realm is constantly trying to speak to us through numbers and signs and patterns. And, we're just a little bit too busy binge watching Game of Thrones. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself. However, we're going to get into all of this stuff. So the dynamics of shame and how it's twisted up our planet and why it's time to give that away. Numerology, how that affects us, how all of our different off-world friends and angels and all of our elemental beings actually communicate with us through this modality. And I'm going to go through the news next show. We're just going to go right through the news, and I'm going to read the headlines, and we're going to do some just good old-fashioned factoring in, looking at those timelines ahead, just because we're going to have some weird news coming up here in this next week. So when that weird news comes out, then no spoilers. Then we're going to address the weird news, and we're going to do that next show. So I have loved having everybody with me today on this show. I love doing this show every single week. I absolutely love being part of the human experience with every single one of you. You are a gift to the planet. You're a gift to my energy field. You're a gift to my life. And remember, you are an energy transfigurer. You are a miracle machine. Go and shine brightly. Until next week, gang, have a terrific rest of your day. Take care.